Hi, friend. This episode is walking you through a case study of what I would do if I were Samaritan, which is an innovative nonprofit helping unhoused neighbors to access social and financial capital to move forward towards housing, employment, and connecting to community and just moving forward in their lives. Really cool mission and organization. Homelessness is a huge passion of mine. I have spent a lot of my career raising money to provide affordable supportive housing, permanent supportive housing internationally and also locally here in Los Angeles County. It's a huge issue. When I was raising money 10 years ago for this specific issue, there were half of the number of people who are unhoused as there are now. The problem has gotten worse. And I really see a huge opportunity for innovation. And Samaritan, the reason that I'm picking them is not only are they addressing a critical issue that is about basic needs for humanity, for folks who are most vulnerable and who need the support the most, and have a huge amount of strain on public resources, right? Like emergency rooms. And there are so many public costs associated with folks who are unhoused. So for that reason, also, Samaritan is a young organization. They haven't been around long. I've connected with the founder and CEO, Jonathan, who seems to be a wonderful person. We have yet to meet in person, but I'm looking forward to that one day. And they have a really interesting model because they are a tech company where they've created this online digital platform to create grassroots support that's locally based, where unhoused folks can get access to encouraging words from people in their city who essentially, quote, join their team, which I think is so cool. So they're a community building tech platform. But then they have the 501c3 side, which is now partnering. It looks like their number one revenue stream are corporate healthcare partners, which I think obviously makes sense. So I'm going to share, here's what I would do to raise $5 million in 6 months if I were part of their team. Of course, they could hire me to help them do this, but I'm just doing this because it's fun. And I love to geek out about this stuff. And you have said that these types of case studies have been particularly helpful in terms of formulating your own strategy. So I'm going to share what I would do. Of course, okay, disclaimer, this is from the outside looking in. I'm not a part of this team. They're not paying me to say this. I, again, just love to nerd out on strategy. I'm a strategist as well as a coach and advisor and mentor. And so I look at nonprofits, I look at models to really understand what's working and what strategy would best suit this particular model. So it looks like this model, they're a tech platform that's connecting unhoused folks to money and to neighbors who can show up for them, volunteer to help them make forward progress towards their individual goals, whether that's securing housing, employment, getting healthcare, whatever the immediate needs they have. Phenomenal, right? And if you go on their website, you can see these really beautiful case studies that if you click on impact in their navigation, and they'll show you individual stories of folks who have got permanent housing, who have gotten employment after 6 months of being connected to the Samaritan platform and receiving $80 a month, or they've received $1,000 or whatever it is. They give you the specific details of who has been helped, where they are. So they're in, I think, 8 different markets, including Los Angeles, which is where I live. And it looks like they have fee for service. So their revenue comes from healthcare partners and nonprofits using their app. So that's a revenue stream, right? So makes total sense. That likely, and from what I can discern, and this isn't totally clear on their website, that likely allows them to fund the operations of what they do, of this like volunteer community member match platform, and then pays for them to be able to do their work in all these different cities. And partnering with these corporate healthcare partners makes total sense because they're actually alleviating the financial burden of the healthcare partner in that local region. So here's how I would think about raising $5 million. And I picked $5 million because I think it looks like they could use $5 million. From what I can tell, because I get some of their emails, is that they're looking to expand. They want to be in even more markets. They want to help more people. I think I saw 1 million people. I don't know. So I'm not super clear on their long-term goals, but I know that they are ambitious. I don't know exactly what they are. And so I'm just kind of ballparking 5 million. I'd focus on 3 main revenue streams. Okay, so the first one they're already doing, it's corporate healthcare partners. I would first start with looking at those partnerships, doing an audit of how they are going. Are they happy with us? Are we some of the highest performing? Is our work together some of the highest performing, most efficient, most impactful work that they do in the community? So another way to ask this would be, of all of the nonprofits that this company supports, are we the Michael Jordan, right? Are we the Steph Curry? You pick your athlete. Are we the Serena Williams? Are we the best? Are we, and likely, I would guess, even though Samaritan is pretty young, they're probably one of the highest performing because I've seen some of the data and I see these beautiful case studies. It's clear that they're able to be super effective pretty fast, which is amazing. Then I would use that data and stories to negotiate and find out what our current corporate partners, what is the best gift they're able to give. So given the fact that we're the GOAT, or at least for the time being, right? And that you're touching on an intersection of meeting immediate needs, and you're also having an impact on the local community. You're also saving taxpayer dollars. You're also affecting the bottom line of this healthcare partner. There are lots of different things at play here in partnering with Samaritan. So I'd look at that. I'd also explore new partnerships with tech partners. I imagine that there are tech founders that would say, I will give you $1 million over the next 5 years if you can make a dent in these issues. I'm happy to do that. I could totally see that play. And, you would need to develop maybe a nice prospectus or some kind of proposal, which is what I would do. For that, I would approach those people. I would reach out to them and share the most compelling data of the success that you've experienced so far. And create a dream list. Like, who would we want to partner with? What would be our dream situation? And your ability to articulate your long-term goals and the success that you've experienced so far and to be able to succinctly communicate those sexy stats, if you will, is going to get you in the door. It's going to get you the meeting. The next revenue stream would be unrestricted revenue from ultra high net worth individuals, a small group of individuals and family foundations who want to invest in the operations, the back end, the R&D, the experiments, the tests that you're going to do, because what you're doing is so innovative and there's not a lot of folks doing what you're doing the way you're doing it. So there are likely people who would commit to a multi-year pledge of unrestricted revenue. They don't necessarily want to give to your restricted, hey, I want this to go to Samaritan members in Louisville. I want to give to the operations so that you can scale and be nimble where you need to be and do experiments and tests and then report back to me how it's going. I'd love to hear your learnings. There are absolutely ultra high net worth individuals who would invest in that innovation. They want to be in the first 5 years of something that's going to scale, that leverages technology to create greater, more efficient social impact. Absolutely. That's what I would do. Think of it like the well at Charity Water, of course, or think of it actually even more appropriate would be News Story and the Builders program, $50K a year, 3-year commitment. So it's a $150,000 pledge. And you've got, 100 households, 80 households. For Samaritan, it could be 50. It could be 25. We have 25 households who are agreeing to join the neighborhood. I don't know. Okay. We would need to workshop the name. But the idea is that there are likely donors who you already have who are doing this, but maybe they're not doing exactly this way. And I would do some research on who's already supporting maybe a much lower level, maybe as a quote micro donor. Or, I'm looking at your impressive list of advisors. Some of those folks could probably be amongst a prospective group for giving unrestricted giving, multi-year pledge. And that you consider them like your insiders and the folks who are going to be with you to weather the storm. And if you needed extra cash, they're there. And you really worry about stewarding them as your major donors. And they make pledges towards your operational funding so that you can have some money in reserve. You can hire when you need to hire. You can give more cash to Samaritan members if you need to. You can do whatever you need to do because it's completely unrestricted. And again, it allows you to be flexible in making investments and moving where you need to move when you need to. So I could see that. And maybe you already have this. I don't even know. Okay, again, outsider perspective, but this is what I see as a tremendous opportunity given your model. And then the last revenue stream I would focus on is activating your volunteer base. Your website says that you have 15,000 volunteers. I don't know how many. I'm assuming that's a lifetime. I don't know what the average volunteer does for you. Are they on a team of a member for 6 months and they do 2 or 3 actions and they donate $10? So the strategy here would be engaging that volunteer base to maybe you find a couple of all-star ambassadors, catalytic folks who are in each region, and maybe they organize like an in-person meetup for other Samaritans. Samaritans is what you call volunteers. So the purpose would be like, let's increase the retention of the folks who are giving, and let's get them to increase their donation amount. So I imagine that your average monthly donation is around $10. That's what's automatically selected on your website. So a goal could be, let's get the average monthly donation to be $15 or $20 a month. And that's obviously an investment in email marketing. That's an investment in marketing. Depending on how fast you want to grow, that would be an area where you could really invest in and tell the story, because you have the data and you have the stories. What you're doing is working. And so I would invest in telling that story. So to recap, 3 revenue streams I'd focus on for now are getting your corporate partners to give their best gifts, getting some kind of multi-year pledge, community of donors, private donors who are giving operational, unrestricted support for R&D, for innovation, for allowing you to be flexible, to have a healthy reserve, to invest in hiring the very best team, all that good stuff. Definitely folks who care about, who have a healthcare background, who care about innovation, who are perhaps in the tech world. I could see lots of different avatars, if you will, for that particular donor community. You could raise, if it's $1 million, right? That's 10 people giving $100K. If you decide that you want to do, your goal could be, let's get 50 households to give $50K a year for 3 years. What is that? Let me do the math. So 50 households, each pledging $150,000 is $7.5 million. So that definitely gets you past the $5 million mark. So you can, if you don't have 50 currently, if you don't have 50 donors, private donors, which I think you probably have maybe 20, 25, 30. Yeah. So then find out who could do a minimum of $50K a year for 3 years, or however you want to tie it to your long-term goals. So I think I saw a goal for something between now and 2032. So you could say, okay, between now and the next 3 years, or you could do 2032. That's a long pledge. So I actually wouldn't make it that long, but but my point is creating some kind of community amongst private donors who are interested in R&D and operations, and helping you to scale and grow your impact, to expand to new cities, to reach even more people, to collect all of this incredible data and tell that story, invest in comms, PR, invest in marketing. Again, depending on what your long-term goals are. And then the next one would be to build up your monthly donor program. These are all different investments. The one that could be potentially the fastest growing for you would be the first 2 revenue streams, and focusing there. Because you likely have individuals who are all in. They're big fans. They believe in what you're doing. You've built a lot of credibility and trust with them. You've reported back the progress that's been made. I know that you have a lot of measurable results and impact. So there are people, I'm guessing, who would be willing to step up if you were to make the right approach and the right ask with the right timing. So it's just a matter of getting all of those pieces into play. And then, I would basically try to eliminate everything else. Anything else that's distracting you from whatever your big goal is. And I could see you being able to raise a lot of money and then build a big community of people who believe in what you're doing, and really growing that group of Samaritans, growing your group of people who are backing you in pretty significant ways. I can't really tell on your website who's on your board. I see your advisors. That's cool. So I don't know what that looks like. That could be a component of how you're able to bring in more unrestricted revenue, is by attracting and recruiting a really amazing subject matter experts, innovators, connectors, major donors on your board. Because then they help you to create a new pipeline of major donors. I talk about this particular strategy in my workshop, Events That Don't Suck, but it's basically like in giving major donors a 5-star experience in terms of reporting back the difference that they've made, building relationships, connecting them to other like-minded, values-aligned folks. They have an incredible experience, and then they automatically start referring you. They start opening doors. They, quote, organically are proud to share what you're doing with their network, with their colleagues, with their partners. And so there's a tremendous opportunity there. And I could see, even especially given the caliber of folks who are on your advisory board, being able to attract a really impressive board of directors who can help you with fundraising, who can help you with comms and PR and telling the story and opening doors and more speaking engagements and all of that. So that would be an element of that unrestricted revenue stream for OpEx and R&D, would be investing in a future-focused board. Like if we are looking to scale and grow in X number of cities between now and 2032, who must be on the board to help us get there? That's a really great question to answer. So I would begin to answer that question and bring in the right advisors to answer that question, because you're going to need a really strong board to help you get there, both in terms of making better decisions and a better strategy for your long-term growth, and in fundraising and development and donor stewardship and bringing in the right partners and helping you to just move faster towards the future that you want to create and the impact that you're creating. Pretty exciting stuff. I love what Samaritan is up to. And I hope that they are super successful. I hope that they raise way more than $5 million. But this is just the path that I see. It could be in the next 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. But depending on my assumptions, my hunches, based on what I can see online and what I know in terms of the impact that you've delivered and how compelling a lot of that data is, this is where I see are some really great opportunities for you. So that's what I would do. I'd focus on getting folks to give their best gifts and investing in telling the story and bolstering up the board of directors to be a future-focused board and continuing to really build this community. You've already built such an incredible community, and I would now lead those folks towards your even bigger vision and inspire them to step up in new ways. So I hope that this was encouraging and helpful. Let me know what you think of this episode. If you've been listening to Nonprofit Courage Lab for a while, thanks so much. Thanks so much for being here. And I really appreciate all of your kind words. I hear from so many people who love this podcast, and I'm so grateful. I love doing it. It's really fun for me. I hope that you can tell. And if you have not yet, I would please ask you to write a 5-star review. Leave a review. Go on to Apple Podcasts, write a review of what you love about this podcast. It helps me to reach more people like you. If you have not left a review, please do it. If you are watching on YouTube, I encourage you to subscribe. I will basically do this podcast until the end of time. So I'm going to keep adding value and helping you to change your mind about what's possible and encouraging you to be bold and go for it and raise so much money to change your communities, to support people, to create change faster. There's so much that's possible. There are so many people who are ready and willing to step up, and we need to ask. We need to lead them to do more. And it's on us to make the invitation. So I hope that this was supportive. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.